Get rich, stay quiet. By the way, this is the reason why and how you can actually achieve that. I know, again, you out there trying the best as you can. And I know sometimes you pray and say, hey, you know what, God, I would like you to bless me and get a lot of wealth. I want to prove my enemies wrong. I want to shake them off. I want to shake their empires. I want to prove to people. Come on. Learn to be minimal in terms of your words. Be very careful your thoughts when you're actually looking for wealth. By the way, do you know there's people who say, hey, if I get money, you people, you actually know who I am. I will actually be coming here and do this. Da, da, da. Come on, be very, very careful on what you say when it comes to money and wealth. By the way, listen, what I told you last time, money is very spiritual. And if you didn't know, it can actually hear, it can actually understand. There is sort of a certain sort of attraction or I don't know how I can even frame that, but be very careful. That's why I said, hey, get rich and be quiet. That's why you find some of the people. And by the way, if you get somebody who is rich or perceived to be rich and they are very mouthful, they are out there. Allow me to say this, okay? They sort of have like a mouth diarrhea whereby they can actually say anything at any given time to anybody. In most cases, those people are not actually wealthy. They are there to sell you something. Hey, people telling you, hey, this is what I own. Unless maybe they're saying, hey, you know what? I was once working in this particular place. This is how I made my millions. This is what I did. This, so you can do it. There's nothing wrong with that. But just showing off and telling you, hey, you don't think you're a stupid. Hey, you're supposed to do this. Look at the way I am. I'm worthy. Come on, that way, it's actually in a one way or the other, they're about to sell you something. All right, and that what they're selling you probably might actually be a scam. So you better be very, very careful. Wealth comes with silence. Let me say that. Wealth comes with silence. See, when I say wealth comes with silence, you really have to understand this, okay? Well, that's why people usually make a joke that there is no radio or TVs and what have you in the supermarket. I mean, not supermarket, rather, but on the banks. Yeah. See, now what happens when you say get rich and be quiet is when you're getting rich, the process of you getting rich, first of all, it takes time. Okay, it takes time. Okay, it takes time, and it takes a lot of effort. When I say effort here, I simply mean it takes a lot of commitment, sacrifice, discipline, and what have you. It's not fun doing that. By the way, it's not fun sacrificing. By the way, there is no fun in creating wealth, by the way, if you didn't know. There is no fun. Because the money that you could have actually, sort of gotten that money, go through some party there, have fun, and what have you, you're actually pumping back. You're actually becoming broke investing. You see, you are spending to invest to even become broke. So there is no fun coming to that. See, it actually requires of all these times, okay? Now, what happens now in that process of creating that wealth? You're supposed to remain quiet. You know why I'm saying you're supposed to remain quiet? And I want you to hear me out because this is a very important point. When you remain quiet, it simply means that you're minimizing the number of words that you're saying. This is what we say. When you speak a lot, when you say a lot, you can actually end up saying something that are not okay. And in that process, that's when you can actually be attacked, either by the government or by the people. Okay? This is why. When you tend to actually sort of chest dump how much you have and how much you owe and own and what have you, you actually attract some sort of like government is on, oh, okay. Oh, we didn't know that actually. We think you're actually underpaying your taxes. Oh, you said you got how much and how much did you pay for the taxes and what have you? I'm not saying that you should remain quiet and don't pay taxes. I 100% support paying taxes anyway. My Bible says, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar and to God what belongs to God. You get what I'm saying? See, now, when I say remain quiet, it's actually an act of wisdom whereby you can actually be like, you know what? I'm getting some cash now. Things are going okay. I'm creating wealth and things are running out well. And of course, what you're supposed to do, you remain quiet so that at least you can build up yourself. And once you build up yourself, you can now be in a situation where you can either decide to go out there, empower people, tell people, guide people, and show them the way and how they can be able to do some things. Now, what happens is you find some person, you've even barely getting started, and there you are out, telling people how successful you are, how much you're making, how wealthy you are, and what have you. And in that process, that is how you actually affect your lifestyle. Okay? Now, see, get rich and actually what? Keep quiet or remain quiet, because that can actually prevent you to actually getting yourself into lots of problems. Again, that's from the government perspective. Now, what if you actually say anything and everything that you own in front of people? Not everyone is happy about you. Not everyone thinks like, hey, you know what? Anyway, that guy deserves to be wealthy. That girl deserves to be wealthy. That person deserves to do this and that. People will be like, oh my goodness. There are some people who perceive that, I'm poor because someone's well is rich. There are people who have that perception. There are people who, if you tell them, hey, you know what? By the way, I don't know whether you know this. Do you know that wealthy people are hated generally in the community and in the society? They are hated. Why? Because they are perceived as the enemies. And how? They are perceived as the enemies because people tend to think like, hey, I am wealthy, or rather I'm poor because someone is wealthy. And if that guy wasn't wealthy the way he is or she is, then I would be somewhere. So when you come into, or when you approach life with that perspective, then it means you become an enemy to the someone who has the money. And for the someone who has the money, that's why I'm saying you're supposed to remain quiet. And that's why you find what you're supposed to do is that people tend to hide their wealth, to hide their wealth. I'll actually make a video about that. See, to hide their wealth does not mean necessarily to sort of like dig a hole and put it out there. No, so to hide your wealth is to own your wealth in a complicated manner, not in a simplistic manner. You find like you buy a truck is under your name. You buy a parcel of land is under your name. You have a company is under your name. No, see, there is a way, a system that you can have for yourself that you can own properties. I was actually listening to the impeachment of the second deputy president of this country called Kenya. And of course, he was like, it was, how can I say this? He was alleged to have committed, I don't know, corruption crimes and what have you. And the property that was actually announced, so and so property, oh, you actually own that. But now the name of his name was not even actually mentioned in that. You find the guy owns a company, whatever. I'm not saying whatever they were saying. You find like, let's say company XYZ, and that you have a property, let's say worth 1 billion, for instance, and that property is owned by the company known as XYZ. Then when we zoom in into that company, the directors and the owners of that company, that's now when you see that particular name. So you own your properties indirectly. That is one way of actually hiding your wealth. It's actually a way like, you know, find like people usually have what we call the LLC, the limited liability company. This is whereby, let's say this is person X, this is Kevin. Okay, I said I'm gonna make a video about this to explain to you in details. This is Kevin. Kevin owns this. Kevin is one of the directors of this particular LLC. Or there is one way. The other way is that Kevin can actually decide to have a trust, and then that trust is the one that owns this LLC. And then this LLC, you find the Kevin is listed as one of the directors in that company. And then this particular trust that the Kevin has, which owns this LLC, which owns the Kevin's property, you find the trust, the beneficiary is actually the Kevin. So you find before you reach to Kevin, you have to go through a lot of what? Rabbit hole, so that you can actually reach to where the Kevin is. And this is how exact, and that's why you find like, you actually say, hey, you allege that, hey, a certain politician, this is his property. Then you go to look the owners of that particular property. You don't even find that particular name there because they own that thing in a proxy way. There are other people who owns or hide their properties in a what we call in a proxy way. Anyway, let me not delve into that. The point here is stay quiet. When you actually get rich, stay quiet. And this is why. Why I have actually explained to you. Why? Why? Because you can actually attract some people who don't even wish you good. You can actually attract some guys who are out there who would actually go ahead and sort of like, you know, what do we call, can steal from you, can actually attack you, can actually even think about defrauding you and what have you. And also you can actually end up there rubbing shoulders with the government. By the way, if you didn't know this, the moment you become wealthy, this is the time you realize that politicians understand and know who you are. And when they know who you are, they actually shows you a doorstep and they tell you, hey, you know what, Sam? Wow, we would like you to fund our campaigns, and when we become president, we become MPs or whatever they want, then we can be able to give you 1, 2, 3. Let's say you are a very godly guy, you don't like those things, you just want to live your own life, and you tell them, hey, you know what, I don't believe in funding policy. They tell you, okay, no problem. Then once they go there, they become president by, say, you have your competitor, another wealthy individual funds them. Then of course, if you are in a business, the two of you, definitely you find like they will have what we call unfair, you know, competition. The battleground would actually be, okay, we've seen all this in the countries and what have you, and you can prove that in the whatever. I don't want to mention names here. The point is, see, when in the moment you get rich, please stay quiet, stay low, blend in, and live a life that you do not have to tell people who are out there. And you might think like this video was meant for the wealthy people. Yeah, absolutely, it was meant for wealthy people, and you are one of them, okay? And if you're still on the process of creating this wealth, stay put. Make sure that you push yourself to the next level so that you can achieve it, okay? That is exactly how you grow yourself. You prevent getting yourself some problems here and there just by the virtue of you saying a lot, talking a lot, relating with people. The other thing that I'm going to close this video with is that minimize the circle that you have. When I say minimize the circle that you have, I simply means that minimize the number of people that you interact with. You find someone is actually interacting with a lot of people. and you do not know. The bigger the circle, the bigger the problem. The more friends you have, the more problems you're going to have. So it is good to make sure that at least you actually, guess what, interact with a lesser circle of people. And in that regard, you can be able to do what? You can be able to know, hey, where the problem can actually result and what have you. Because when you have a lot of people at your end, or from your perspective, you're going to have a lot of people to please and take care of yourself. By the way, I don't know whether you know this. At times it's very hard to take care of your friends more than it is to take care of your enemies. Oh my goodness, check that one out. It's very, very heavy. Anyway, that's good, Joseph. Don't forget to go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure that you subscribe. Stay put. I upload these kind of videos each and every day. See you there the next time.